Hey everybody, thanks for joining me. This is Kay back at it with a new video. The title of this video is They Just Words. Now you're probably saying, well, Kay, what do you mean by they just words? Okay, I'm gonna break it down to you. Remember that old saying, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words would never hurt me? Remember that? That's old school stuff. And I was talking with a friend of mine, and we kind of touched on that. She asked me if we were out and a guy called her out of her name, what would I do? I mean, will I go berserk? Will I lose my cool? Will I just go off? Will I want to fight? Will I want to, what is going to be your actions towards that? And you know what I politely said? Nothing. They're just words. Why would I go out there and act a fool because something came out of somebody's mouth, which I can't control? Why would I, you're probably saying, well, Kay, don't you supposed to go off? Don't you supposed to go berserk? Don't you supposed to stand up? And don't you supposed to do this and that? No. Now, if that person put their hands on her, that's a different story. Because now I do have to protect. But if someone just saying words have no meaning, and you can't control what comes out of somebody's mouth. And then you can do it just, if you can't, just leave. Don't make you less of a man. But when people egg you on like that, and I've had many people do that to me, they already got it planned what the next thing gonna be. See? I've learned in this world that everything don't require a blow-up or a reaction or a shock and all these things. It don't require that. What I would do is, if I'm in that situation, if I can't resolve it, then I just leave. Live to see another day. But again, if someone put their hands on my friend, then that's different. And I even told my friend, if somebody called me out my name, I don't want you out there fighting and humbugging and blowing up, losing your cool and all that. No, it's not necessary. They're just words. I remember this time I was on my job, and this guy, I think he was homeless, and I just politely asked him, that he couldn't hang out behind the building. And as he was going down the street, he was calling me everything but the child of God. And then he also said, F your mama too. And, and I thought for a split second, what did you just say? And then I say, wait a minute. Let's look at this situation. Number one, he's heading on down the road. Never saw him again. And two, he don't even know my mama. And three, my mama's gone. So why would I get out there and act a fool, right? Probably wind up getting arrested if he was smart enough to not fight back, and then that's assault. So now what's going to happen to me? One, you probably lose your job. Two, you're going to spend some time in jail. And three, was it necessary? No, it wasn't. That guy was going on down the road somewhere. Never saw him again. I'll give you another quick one. Some years back, I was with my girlfriend. We was in the car. We was at the stoplight, and there was two cars there, right? And in this car, it was a car full of guys in there. And my girl was on the right side. I'm driving, right? So at the light, hey, baby, they just, hey, sweetie, what's your name? They saying all kind of stuff. Now, what was I supposed to do? Jump out my car, it's a carload of guys over there, and demand that they apologize and don't say nothing? No. How long does a stoplight last? Stoplight lasts maybe, 2 minutes, if that? They drove off, they gone. Never saw them again. See? And what if I did would have got out or get to arguing and all that, and then they shoot in the car, right? Sometimes you gotta let cooler heads prevail. You know, everything don't require blow up and out of control and want to do this and want to do that. Because most of the time, if you're lucky, you'll probably never see that person again. That's the honest truth. You probably won't. So, you know, I just learned that, you know, sometimes you just have to let cooler heads prevail. You know, and back to someone called out a name. Well, I hear women all the time calling themselves B's, right? Where you going, B? What you doing, B? You know? So I'm going to get out there and get all out of shape. Or somebody say the N-word. And I hear my people say it all the time, you know? So, you know, it's just that I guess we have to learn that everything don't require a reaction, in my opinion. Some things, you know, you just have to think through and think of the repercussions of what's going to happen next if you go there. See? You know, you can hurt that person can hurt you, you can go to jail. And what if you're working? Now what do you do? See? So sometimes I'm not saying you got to be a coward, you got to be scared and all that. No, sometimes you just got to think it out. And again, words are just words. Words never hurt anyone. And if you that weak that a word can make you blow up like that, then, you know, hey, maybe you may have to rethink the way you do things. Because, again, a word is just a word. It means nothing. And again, you can't control what's come out of somebody else's mouth. At least I can't. And I don't think anybody can control what comes out of my mouth. You know, if anything, you know, you just ignore that and move on. Live to see another day. That's all I have for you. Again, this is Kay, back at it with a new video. Take care, guys.